Hi guys, my name is Nick Broughton and I am a Randomfish. Hit that subscribe button and let's all be Randomfishes together, shall we? So, I said I was going to talk about this film, so obviously now I'm going to talk about it. In the last few years, we've had a version of a animated cinematic universe within DC that started with Flashpoint Paradox, and it now ends with the film that I'm talking about today, Justice League Dark, Apokolips War. Now, this film is dark. It's not just saying Justice League Dark because of the film that preceded it, Justice League Dark on its own, where it was, you know, the supernatural version of the Justice League. This film it's dark, it's intense, it's gory, and oh wow, is it amazing. You love it. You love the whole aspect of it. It's great. So, how exactly does one describe the plot of this? Okay. So, Superman and the other members of the League have had enough of Darkseid. He has invaded Earth multiple times now. He was the reason for Doomsday. He was the reason for Cyborg Superman in Reign of the Supermen. And as such, throughout all of this, Superman has decided that they need to go to Apokolips and kill Darkseid once and for all. They go to Apokolips, leaving the Teen Titans back on Earth as a kind of guard to the planet, which is fine. Unfortunately, they fail on an insane level. To the point where you get flashes of, for example, Mira, Aquaman's girlfriend, wife, whatever it is that they are at this point, getting her face clawed, almost being clawed off in a way. It's creepy as well. Aquaman being torn in half by Darkseid's Omega beams. Green Lantern being decimated by Parademons, or Paradooms, I should say. Yeah, this is something else that's happened. Darkseid has taken the Doomsday that he created, taken the DNA from that, and combined it with his Parademons to create a combination thing, and called them Paradooms. Now, I don't know whether to rejoice in the name, or just sit there and go, ah, a lot at it. So, yeah, most of the League get completely decimated upon arriving on Apokolips. Wonder Woman gets her arm ripped off. Like I said, Aquaman is torn in two, Mira is teared up. Martian Manhunter is set on fire, point blank. The Flash is captured, Batman is captured, Wonder Woman survives, obviously having her arm ripped off, but, you know, she's injured but alive, and Superman is then taken down by the Paradooms so they don't kill him. Because Darkseid has plans for the ones that actually survive this. And Cyborg is another one that survives, and Shazam survives, but Shazam only survives after he gets his leg ripped off by one of the Paradooms, and he's flying, and Cyborg uses his powers because he has a mother box inside him. That's how Cyborg is created in this world, in this universe. He uses his powers and teleports Shazam the heck out of there. Teleports him away from Apokolips, back to Earth. Darkseid then rips apart Cyborg and has plans for all of them. Cyborg, he fuses with Apokolips basically in a way to be a living mother box, who then serves Darkseid. Batman is tortured in the Mobius chair to the point where he becomes Darkseid's servant and sort of takes over from, I think it's Desaad. I'm not sure about all the names. I'm not a massive DC Comics guy, so a lot of the stuff that I remember is very quick. I think it's Desaad anyway. You know, he takes over. It's Batman in the Mobius chair, but he works for Darkseid and he's evil. Wonder Woman is turned into one of the new Furies, who I will get to in a minute. And Superman is injected with kryptonite, liquid kryptonite, to replace his blood, completely depowers him permanently, and he's even got like a little green tint to his eyes. You know, that's how messed up he is. And Superman is dropped back on Earth. With the Justice League and the Teen Titans eventually as well neutralized and taken out of the picture, Darkseid begins harvesting Earth's core, the molten core of Earth, for his own purposes, with the Paradooms. Now, a couple of years go past in this timeline, and we get the emergence of Superman and Raven from the Teen Titans going to a pub in England where they come across John Constantine, played by Matt Ryan, as he is in Legends of Tomorrow and the Constantine one season only show. God, that annoys me. There should have been a season 2 of Constantine, damn it. But the idea is that they go into this pub, and upon all of this, we then get basically the revelation that Constantine was going with them to take on Darkseid with his then partner Zatanna. They're both magic users, so they would bounce off each other and use magic to sort of help neutralize Darkseid in a way. But while they're there, unfortunately, it gets revealed that Zatanna was taken down and killed by the Paradooms, and Constantine essentially, supposedly, ran from the fight. He jumped into a portal and escaped, and has been on Earth ever since, getting steadily drunker and drunker. And unfortunately, a lot appears to have gone wrong very quickly for these characters. For example, Constantine's in the right state. Etrigan, if you remember from the last Justice League Dark film, is no longer connected to Jason Blood, but is essentially now bored stiff of the world because there's no challenges anymore. So he's getting drunk alongside Constantine and not really saying anything, just sat at the bar with a drink, just, I don't care. Just being like that character. Raven is in an infinitely worse shape because as she's sort of been getting older, Trigon, her father, the demon father from Teen Titans versus Just League versus the Teen Titans, sorry. With that film, Trigon was imprisoned in a crystal that Raven has on her forehead, and he's slowly been getting stronger and stronger and trying to break out of his confinement to take form again and therefore to kick some ass. But Raven's slowly been getting worse and worse because Trigon's getting stronger and trying to break out of his prison, and Raven doesn't want to lose control because if she does, she will end up being a magical host for Trigon, which in turn will lead to him not only having physical form again, but will then also lead to Raven destroying the world, which she doesn't want, obviously. So we have Superman, Raven, and Constantine. And Etrigan as well, purely just, he comes along at some other point. They go and visit two other sets of people. They go and get Damian Wayne, who's taken over the League of Assassins. So he is, technically speaking, I guess, the new Ra's al Ghul. Even though he won't be called Ra's al Ghul, he is still Damian Wayne. And we learn from him, obviously, that the Titans were still decimated by the Paradooms and all that sort of thing. But one of the characters who dies, obviously, is Nightwing. And we learn that Damian put Nightwing in the Lazarus Pit to bring him back to life. Kind of like how in the Under the Red Hood story, where they put Jason in the Lazarus Pit to bring him back to life and he went insane. It's kind of what Damian's done. He's put Dick Grayson into the Lazarus Pit to bring him back, and he has come back, but he's come back insane. And he's not really able to do much. He's not really able to fight or anything like that. So that's kind of cool. It was kind of cool to see like a Nightwing, Jason Todd, Dick Grayson, Jason Todd kind of hybrid moment going on there for plot reasons. But he doesn't do anything evil, so it's not quite a full combo. But the other person that they go to is Lois Lane and the Suicide Squad, who have teamed up as sort of like resistance fighters, I guess, against the Paradooms and against Darkseid. Harley Quinn is, of course, really happy that this is happening because she likes the idea of killing Paradooms with kryptonite bullets, and she loves this whole concept very much. Well, she loves the idea of just killing anything, really. There's a brilliant bit where they talk about, where's Amanda Waller? And Harley goes, she had cancer. It's funny. It's not funny, obviously, to have cancer. I do understand that. But at the same time, just the complete dismissal of how, like, Waller is no longer a part of the Suicide Squad. It's like, oh, she died of something. It's fine. Who cares? Who don't really care. That's literally brilliant. The other brilliant bit is that Constantine stood there with Raven and the others, and he goes, "Oh no, it's my ex." And they go, "What? You slept with Harley Quinn?" And he goes, "No, I'm not insane." And he looks from Harley to King Shark. I'm interested in seeing the sitcom about those two. I'd want to see a romantic comedy about those two, how they met, how like their relationship even was, if there even was a relationship. I'd love to see that as an idea. It's brilliant. I love it. It might be at the moment of John when he's at his weakest, you know, during the 2 years stint between the Justice League's defeat on Apokolips and sort of like where they were at that time. You know, it might have been that he was just looking for something and he just called it a relationship. You know, called it my ex. Because to me, obviously, the idea of an ex is only after you've had a relationship with them. You can't really have a one-night stand with someone and call them your ex. I mean, that's just stupid. But anyway, we go past all of that. We get the Suicide Squad on board. We get Damian Wayne on board, and they go to LexCorp, where a boom tube is. Because Lex is working for Batman, for evil Batman and Darkseid on Apokolips, because Luthor just, you know, he wants to remain alive, basically speaking. Batman sort of gives him the line of being like, you know, I know you're doing something stupid, and I'm gonna kill you before you hurt my master Darkseid. And Lex is just like, sure, whatever. They turn up to Lex, and Lex goes, you know, I'm not on their side, I am on your side, it's just, you know, I'm playing both sides like I normally do, blah, 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 blah. And I can teleport you to Apokolips. But of course, the second he does that, Batman finds out and tells Darkseid. Here's where we get back into the blood and gore stuff. Because we then cut to Oooooh. Now, if you're any kind of a DC fan, you know that Oooooh is the centre point of the Green Lanterns. Place where the Guardians exist. As in not the Guardians of the Galaxy, but the little blue men. You know, the guys who, you know, in the Green Lantern film looked like they couldn't have heard a damn thing because of how high they were sitting. Like, what? What? Okay, weird, whatever. You know, not, you know, it's those guys. But we see Darkseid kind of floating amongst the wreckage of Oooooh. Killing off Green Lanterns sort of willy-nilly. I think it's meant to be the symbol that, you know, most of the Lanterns are now dead, and he's just killing off these last few that are sort of turning up on Oooooh trying to kick ass. And he floats past, and you see all the Guardians are like lying dead on the floor. The fact that Kilowog comes out of nowhere and he just catches him with one hand and then breaks his neck, you know. And then Batman sort of turns up and says, you know, Lex is Lex is clearly a traitor. He's made his move. You know, this is, you know, the boom tube has been opened on Apokolips. And Darkseid goes, okay, fine, send in the Furies to deal with them. All this time, we have John Stewart. Again, who many people will know, especially people of my generation. You will know this because Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, which I did watch in the UK, so, you know, silence all you US fans. I did watch some episodes on that show, and, you know, in that show, John Stewart was essentially he was sort of portrayed as maybe not being the best Green Lantern, but he was one of the best Green Lanterns. You know, he's not the best of the best, as it were. Hal Jordan's, you know, virtually never mentioned until I think it's like the last few episodes, like that time traveling episode, that's it. But the idea is that John Stewart is there and he's trying to power up his ring from the big main lantern on Oooooh, and he's saying the oath and it's all grandiose and badass, and oh my god, you think he's going to rise up and kick Darkseid's ass, he's going to turn up and he's going to help them defeat them, and he's going to make the new Justice League, and John Stewart's going to lead them, it's great, it's lovely, it's wonderful, yay! And he goes, he says the oath, and Darkseid just turns to Batman and goes, right, teleport a bunch of Earth's magma onto this planet. And Batman does it, and the magma flows in, and it destroys the central power battery on Oooooh. Destroys the source of the Green Lantern's power, and as it does it, the smoke clears, and you see where John Stewart was, proudly holding his ring, saying the oath, is a skeleton that then turns to dust, and the Green Lantern ring clinks to the floor. Nothing. No dramatic reconstitution. Nothing. It's like, it's so final, and it's so interesting, because that always leads me into like that question in my head of thinking to myself, because Darkseid is sort of portrayed as this big intergalactic conqueror type who sort of like turns up and does all this stuff all the time, and every time I sort of see him mentioned in a DC show or cartoon, I sort of go, how come he hasn't tangled with the Green Lanterns before, or like any other Lantern Corps? From what I hear, or from what I've read online anyway, the main reason is something to do with the fact that The Lanterns don't screw with the New Gods don't screw with the Lantern Corps. You know, I always kind of liked that idea. I liked the idea that Darkseid sort of just never wanted to start something with the Green Lantern Corps. But in this version, he's gotten such a place now where he's like, I can defeat the Lanterns without a single issue. I've got my Paradooms, they are practically indestructible. I can completely destroy you without a single issue. I don't even care anymore. Like, get stuffed, pal. Which is really weird and yet really fun to see. Anyway, so our heroes get teleported onto Apokolips, where they meet the Furies. These aren't the Furies that we know, because the Furies on Darkseid, on the actual Apokolips, in the main continuity, as it were, are, you know, I don't know their names or anything, but I remember at one point they were led by Big Barda. I think she quit at some point, whatever, I'm not quite sure entirely. But I know about Granny Goodness and I know about Desaad. Those are the two characters I know about on Darkseid. Oh, and Kalibak. Those guys are gone. They don't exist anymore in Apokolips. Either they never existed in this version, or these new Furies killed them. And these new Furies are Justice League members. All turned into, given cyborg parts, like Cyborg Superman, Hank Henshaw in the Reign of Superman, with the Cyborg Superman stuff. Right? They've all been cyborged up. Like, you've got a Wonder Woman with a cyborg sort of headplate and metal eye, and she's got an extra different arm on. You know, she's wielding a sword. You've got Martian Manhunter, who was burnt in that opening fight on Apokolips. He's now got spider legs. Spiders! You know, you've got Hawkman, who's mostly looks like a Terminator with wings and a hawk helmet. Mira, who has been given sort of like a gigantic snake tail type thing. I'm guessing some kind of reference to the fish thing, but I think they didn't get it completely right, so it's kind of like this little mini parody of a thing. And then you've got Starfire from the Titans, who was turned into a Fury as well. She's got like half a face made into a cyborg, all this stuff. They've all been completely like dissected and brought back as like these monsters under Darkseid's control. But Constantine gets a hold of Wonder Woman's lasso of truth and wraps it around her and turns her back to the side of good. I mean, I'm really starting to think that Darkseid should have taken that away from her and put it somewhere. He must have known that was some kind of screw-up. Like that, he shouldn't have left that with her. He should have known that, I reckon. But Wonder Woman takes on and defeats the rest of the Furies and converts them back to being good guys. During this time, they end up finding Cyborg, and they talk to him after breaking him out of Darkseid's control as well. And then we get Batman's reveal, along with Darkseid's reveal. Now, Batman, of course, stands up from the Mobius chair and fights Damian, who at this point is back in his Robin suit. He's got a sword. He's ready to fight and everything else. Ready to fight his dad, and they fight. And then Batman not only wins, but sticks a sword in Damian's leg, which is quite disturbing, but hey, what can you do? And just before he's about to finish Damian off, of course, he gets the flashback to his parents being murdered. He freaks out, he goes back to the side of... Damian breaks him out of control from being Darkseid, which is why they brought Damian along in the first place. And Darkseid, he throws the sword at Darkseid, pierces one of his eyes. He can still fire the Omega Beams from it. Darkseid's now really annoyed at all of this, so he starts to fire on Batman in an attempt to kill him. Damian stands in the way. No! He gets burnt and so dies. Raven at this point completely loses it. She freaks out, she gets angry, Trigon is freed. Constantine, who made a deal with Raven earlier, throws a knife at her, removes the gem from her forehead, and he smashes the gem and frees Trigon, and says to him, look, here's the deal here, mate. I can be a willing magical host for you. Just turn up, possess me, it's fine. And Trigon goes, actually, I've got a better idea. And he avoids Constantine and goes straight for Superman. His demonic powers take over Superman, turning him red, giving him an extra pair of eyes, giving him horns, giving him a badass looking goatee, turns the S into flames. Bear in mind the S that was carved in, an S has been carved into him with the kryptonite, with the liquid kryptonite, just sort of like as a gigantic sort of FU from Darkseid, which is nice. But it goes on fire, and then he gets a fiery cape, and he starts this Trigon Superman hybrid starts beating down on Darkseid, saying that he's unimpressed with this new god. You know, because I think Trigon represents sort of more of the old school stuff than Darkseid ever did. Bear in mind, back on Earth, that Lois and the Suicide Squad and Lex Luthor are fighting the Paradooms there in an attempt to blow up Lex Corp, where the boom tubes will then open and Cyborg will open up all the boom tubes, and all the Paradooms will come back to Apokolips, and then Cyborg can teleport Apokolips somewhere that it will be destroyed permanently, and therefore Darkseid and all of his minions will be dead. So while they're doing that, Lois then gets Cyborg to put up a video chat for her and Clark to have a conversation, because they're married at this point in the game, and she says, I love you, Clark. We're completely, we're going to spend the rest of our lives together, but now the rest of our lives together is in the next 2 seconds. So bye. Everything blows up. Suicide Squad's dead. Lois Lane is dead. Holy crap. Superman then snaps completely out of it, screams, pushes Trigon out of him, essentially speaking. And Trigon then gets trapped by Darkseid's Omega Beams. He uses them to contain him. Because at that point, obviously, Trigon is not a threat to Darkseid anymore. And Darkseid goes to destroy Trigon, permanently speaking. And we then realise another reason as to why Trigon possessing Superman was better than Constantine, which was that he burnt away all the kryptonite in Superman. He restored him to his full power. So we got a fully powered Kryptonian beating down on Darkseid, who is now very angry at Darkseid as well. Now, during all of this, when he first transformed into the Trigon Superman hybrid, he snapped Constantine's neck, killed Constantine. To which I'm thinking, oh wow, this is messed up. And a lot of characters die during this as well. Etrigan gets impaled on Wonder Woman's sword. Shazam dies from his injuries or dies from being eaten by the Paradooms as a little kid, I'm not sure. But whatever, he yells Shazam at the end, that's all I really know. Superboy's neck gets broken. All this stuff happens. But Constantine gets his neck broken and he ends up in the afterlife, and Zatanna says to him, look, you didn't run away because you were afraid. You ran away because I cast a spell to make you run away. Because Batman knew that if you ran away, you would be our best hope at solving this. And Constantine just goes, so basically I'm Batman's backup plan. And she goes, yeah. And it's just, I love that Batman has plans within plans, and by God does he piss people off when he does that shit. Oh, wow. Oh, is it messed up? But anyway, he goes back, he gets sent back from the afterlife, brings him back to life, and Raven then brings Damian back to life as well, through the power of her light magic kind of thing. That she was raised by the monks of Azarath. She's more connected to Azarath than she's to Trigon at this point. So her robes go from being black, as they were throughout most of the film, to being pure white, which is very cool. So she brings Damian back, and then Raven and Constantine go, we need to find a way of distracting Darkseid so we can all leave. Best way of doing that, release Trigon and give him his body. So you then have a fully formed Trigon who could do anything at this point, but then starts fighting Darkseid. These two titans start beating on each other. And bear in mind that we've now seen that Trigon's eye beams, are powerful enough to not only stop the Omega Beams from hitting him, but they can go back and hit Darkseid back in the face. Holy crap! Trigon could actually be a match for Darkseid in this. And there's a brilliant bit where Darkseid is about to blast Superman with his Omega Beams, and he gets hit by Trigon's blast, and Trigon floats past to Superman and goes, "Go, because unless you want to fight me for the right to kick his ass." And Superman's like, "I'm good, bye bye," and flies off and goes back to the rest of the gang, who then teleport and go back. And they all leave, and Cyborg's like, and they're all going, "Come with us, Cyborg, come with us." And Cyborg's going, "Dude, I can't go with you. I am literally fused to Apokolips. I can't go anywhere. I can't take my mind somewhere else. I am stuck here. I cannot do anything." And there's a bit where everyone leaves, and Raven is the last one. And she looks up at the sky and sees Trigon and Darkseid punching each other, and Trigon knocks Darkseid back. And he looks at her in the face and goes, "This is the best thing you've ever given me. Hope you're, be okay." And the best bit about the line is he punches her and goes, "What a wonderful gift, daughter, be well." And he flies down and starts beating more on Darkseid, and Raven just goes, goodbye. Jumps into the portal. And I mean, that to me is the best thing ever, because that is the ultimate symbol of not only Trigon's love for his daughter, but this rather genius thing that, despite everything we get from these villains in DC, a lot of them actually do give a damn about what they're doing. And I love the fact that Trigon, despite the fact that he is this megalomaniac, like he's a god who's obsessed with destroying things, and yet the one thing that he wanted more than anything else, which is a challenge, he's been given by the one being who's been keeping him locked up. And he's just like, "You know what? I don't give a damn about what's happened between the two of us in the past. You're awesome. See you later." And so, and he's beating down on Darkseid. And Raven jumps through the portal, and Cyborg just says, "Guess I've got the last laugh. Booyah." He doesn't quite say that. I'm not going to say what he actually says in the film. But he teleports Apokolips basically either into a sun or somewhere like that, or like completely detonates Apokolips, because all the Paradooms are now back on Apokolips. And Darkseid goes to do something, and Trigon grabs him, has him basically in a headlock, and starts laughing. It's like, "Yeah, it's just you and me now, pal." Massive explosion, Apokolips is gone, Darkseid is dead, all that stuff. And they're back on Earth. And during all this time, they've also found Flash, who was helping to power Apokolips this entire time. And John also now knows about Flashpoint. Now, this is kind of thrown away, not really, it's something that he sees, but it's not something that's really overly talked about that much until he gets to the end scene, where the Justice League are going, "Look, 30% of the Earth's core has been taken. Like, the planet is compromised. There'll be like another billion deaths before we can even put this under some kind of control." And Superman's sitting there just going, "We're the Justice League. We don't quit. We'll do this. We can get through this as long as we stick together." And Constantine walks over to Flash and just sort of leans on him and goes, "You got to do? You got to do another Flashpoint. You got to click. You got to restart this." And Flash sort of looks at him and goes, "But," and Constantine goes, "Look, I know that most of this will, most of the changes that you make when you reboot everything might be bad, and yeah, a lot of stuff may not work out, and it may end up being the exact same thing, but it's got to be a lot better than what we've got here." And he indicates there's like the Justice League, which is sort of like, it's mostly cyborgs, and and you got a Starfire, mostly a robot who's stroking like an insane Nightwing's hair. It's creepy. At the end of the film is just Flash running. He's running. He opens up a portal and he goes back in time to reboot or whatever, and that's the end of the film. And it's just, what? What? Why? Why do this? No, don't do this. And I know that we've had some new things crop up in the animated universe now, which I'm fine with. I don't really think like I need to have an animated universe that connects. I like it, but I don't necessarily need it. I think it's a fun thing to have. But one of the things I love most about this film, well, I pretty much described my favourite bit being the Trigon Darkseid fights. Both when he was combined with Superman and when he's on his own. Because I love this whole bit where Superman and Darkseid are fused, and you know, Darkseid goes to kill him with the Omega Beams. And not only does Superman Darkseid hybrid stop it, but hits him right in the face and knocks him down. And he floats over and goes, "So, you're one of the new gods, are you?" He cracks his knuckles and just goes, "I'm unimpressed." And the fight continues, and it's just, oh, right in the bud, yes. I felt like that moment in Kelso from that 70s show where it's just, burn, burn. And it sort of goes to everyone going, burn, burn, burn. That's what it felt like to me. But I mean, like I said, the darkness of this film, it's intense, man. This whole film is just intense, and it's fun, and it's really, like, in your face dark. I like it. I love it. So, for those reasons, sort of above all else, I very much do find myself enjoying this film a lot. And I do recommend it, very much so. I recommend you go and watch it. If you haven't already, then why the hell are you watching this review, I should say. But I do love films like this, and I love how dark a film like that can go. The only Marvel film I could ever think of that even compared slightly to this was Next Avengers, Heroes of Tomorrow, which it was nowhere near as gory or bloodlusted or bloodthirsty or anything like that, which had Ultron conquering the world and killing the Avengers, and the kids of the Avengers being raised by a very much an older, greyer Tony Stark, and they meet, you know, the version of Iron Man who's an old man, an old man version of Hulk, who's not Maestro. I point this out. He's not Maestro. And they meet the son of other Avengers, and all this sort of stuff like happens. But it's nowhere near as bloody, and that's sort of what I want. I want to see an animated version of an Avengers film where, say for example, you have a version where, say, Dormammu comes through and does take control of the planet, where, you know, he's turned Iron Man into his personal servant, where Doctor Strange is dead and the Eye of Agamotto is hanging around Dormammu's neck instead. Where you have, say, Thor and someone going to find Peter Parker and being like, you know, we need your help to save the world. Thor not having his hammer anymore because Dormammu, like, has enchanted it to the point where it can never be held by anyone except for him. Just stuff like that. I would love to see something big and epically bad done on that kind of scale, you know, and not something that's done for kids. That's where I feel that DC has Marvel slightly outmatched. Marvel has done amazing things, but their animated films are and their animated shows, I should say at the moment, are obviously, for the fact that they're Disney owned, it's all very kid friendly. DC doesn't have that problem. They have much more like late teenagers, young adults kind of thing. It's all very much like that, and I don't know, I wish that there was a much greater focus on a much darker version. The darkest I can think of when it gets to stuff like that is more the live action films, really, than the animated films. But the animated films, I think, can go much further. And the bloodiest I can ever think of when it comes to a Marvel animated film was the Hulk vs. Wolverine one, which, I mean, watch that at some point. But those are my thoughts on Justice League Dark Apokolips War. And if you haven't seen it yet, or if you want to rewatch it because of this, go for it. It's so much fun. Now, as for next week, I don't know what I'm going to review. I don't know what I'm going to do. I haven't got a clue. But you know what? I am a random fish. So I will figure it out. Random fish out.